Welcome to the Centre for Brexit Studies YouTube channel. I'm joined today by Centre Director Professor Alex de Ruyter. So Alex, today is the day. We are finally formally leaving the EU and entering a transition period. Did you think we would ever actually get to this stage?
Hello Beth. In answer to that question, I did think for a while last year that there was a distinct possibility that another referendum might have taken place because there was a hung parliament. It was distinctly possible that the government could have gone to the polls and not been returned with a working majority. But of course that changed when Boris Johnson became Prime Minister, and he effectively succeeded at pitching the Brexit hiatus as Parliament obstructing the will of the people. And then when push came to shove and the Liberal Democrats and the SNP gifted him an election before Brexit was delivered, he was able to use that to campaign to get Brexit done and then returned with a thumping majority.
So when we leave at 11 p.m. tonight, many obviously will be celebrating, many obviously will also be devastated. Can you see a time where being Remainers and Leavers are a massive just thing of the past?
Well, the country clearly remains deeply divided. I suppose for people who avowedly saw themselves as Remainers, the election result was clearly a shock, and the opposition parties are in some disarray at the moment whilst they sort out the process of getting a new leader. Do I think these will ever be put behind us? I'm not so sure, because of the sharp differences in the nature of the original vote pattern. Older people were more likely to vote Leave. Older people, of course, are more likely to vote Period, and that may have influenced the election result in a fashion. But of course, the younger are more sort of open in their attitudes, more international, more pro-European, and it is distinctly possible as the years go by, when I say years, maybe a decade, with a generational shift, we might see a consequent shift in attitudes, and the UK might yet rejoin the EU. You wouldn't rule that out because of the generational pattern. I think the only way that could change is if a different set of attitudes become ingrained in younger people. Given that younger people tend to be more educated as a bloc, I don't think they would be so. I think they would be less likely to be persuaded of altering their views in that regard. I'll put it that way.
So after today, we can expect to hear a lot about trade negotiations, but do you think this is necessarily going to be front page news? And will we begin to, shift back towards traditional bread and butter issues in the press?
Well, you can already see it in the media now. Brexit doesn't dominate the headlines in the same way that it did, and whilst the Prime Minister might desire for Brexit to go from the front page to the business pages, there will be points over the year as it comes where Brexit will come back to the front page, because in contrast to Boris Johnson's statements, Brexit is not done. At best, it's only half done. We now have the torturous process of negotiating a new trade agreement, or trying to. The transition period that we have at the moment will end at the end of the year. Is that enough time to get a new agreement done? Well, I think the flashpoint is going to come obviously in June, when the deadline will emerge whereby we would have to notify the EU should we wish to get an extension. That's only 5 months away.
So many people will be confused about what their rights are and what they're able to do in the EU after today. Will we see any big changes immediately, or will these come over the next 11 months?
Now you'll wake up on tomorrow morning, as it were, and still feel much the same. The sun will come up. The UK will still be part of the single market and the customs union. It will still abide by Court of Justice rulings. We will still follow EU-derived law. Nothing will practically change in that regard. If you're going to mainland Europe for a holiday, you might notice yourself in a different passport queue, but then the UK never bought into the common visa travel zone under Schengen anyway, so you're still going through some form of border control. Life goes on, as it were, and for the rest of this year at least, it will not feel very different. The crunch point will come when we reach the end of the so-called transition period, whether we have a new agreement in place or not, and then, clearly for business, until the parameters of that emerge properly, there will be lingering uncertainty.
Thanks for joining me, Alex.
You're welcome.